word of prayer. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for everybody being here, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to share the goodness of the food that you have provided for us to eat, Lord. Thank you so much for this traveling mercies, and we just pray for the continuation and the well-being of this program and everybody here. We thank you for the presenters and the food that they'll be presenting this evening. We thank you for all these things in your precious and most holy name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so this evening, our very first item on the list is our butter lettuce salad with candied apples. Doesn't that sound delicious?
Very.
Very delicious. So BJ Chrysostomo will be presenting this evening, and so let's give him a round of applause.
Wow.
Hello everyone.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you guys ready to eat?
Yes.
I'm about ready to eat. Okay, so thank you, Vasa. We're good. We're gonna first start off with this salad. How many of you guys like salad?
Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We're gonna try and make this really quick because I have 5 minutes to do this presentation. So today we're making butter lettuce or butter lettuce salad with candied pecans, not candied apples. Have you guys made candied pecans before?
No.
I've tasted it.
You've tasted it before?
But
It's actually really good, and it ended up looking something like this. You ever
Yeah.
seen this before?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're not going to show you how to make this right now, but it's really easy to make. It's just a couple of ingredients. Do you guys have that recipe in front of you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you see the candy portion. There's only about 5 ingredients. Pecans, or pecans, however you like to say it. Brown sugar, water, cinnamon, and cayenne pepper if we give it a little spice in there. And it actually tastes really good and crunchy. But what we're going to be doing is making our dressing right now. And our dressing is really simple. You just need a bowl like this, something to stir it with. And we're first going to start off with some fresh squeezed lemons. What I like to do with the lemons is cut it in half. You know what I mean? Cut it in half, stick a fork in the middle of it, and you can use that to kind of wrench out the juice out of the lemon while you squeeze that. And it just comes, and you get all this, but you do it over a strainer and into a bowl. Because then you can capture all the seeds and all the pulp and whatnot, because you don't want no one to be biting on lemon seeds, right? So it's real easy to do. So you just grab your lemon juice, and you grab 1.5 tablespoons of canola oil, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and you just add in a bowl, and you just mix it. So I already have some things that are already prepared. So we have lemon juice. We have, what's next? Read it out for me.
oil.
Canola oil. All right. What else?
Sugar.
Sugar.
2 spoons.
2 teaspoons.
All right.
One salt.
And then salt. Isn't that real easy? That's it for your dressing. And all you do,
So it's brown sugar, not refined sugar.
brown sugar, yeah. And all you do is mix it up, and then you let this sit so all the sugars can dissolve and the salt can dissolve, right? So what I like to do is you just mix this up and you put it right away into your fridge, and that's it. It looks sort of, can you actually see this? I don't know if you can. There's a little design in there. But you see how that looks like? It just looks like brown lemon juice.
Yeah.
But it's real simple, and you don't need much of it because it's solely relying upon the lemon juice, and the lemon juice is going to give you all your flavors for your salad. All right, what I'd like to show you guys is you get today we have romaine lettuce, not buttered lettuce. And it's real, have you guys ever cut this before? Real simple, right? You want to just get the edges off. So you first start off with one corner. You want to get a rocking motion when you're cutting so you don't necessarily cut your fingers. And you want to get about 1/2 inch to 1 inch thick. You see that?
Yeah.
Pretty easy, right? You just roll your knife. Like I did this for years, huh? Very simple. And all you do is grab it here and add it into your bowl. And everything is even. You want to make sure when you're cutting your vegetables and whatever you're cutting, it's even and pretty close to looking exactly alike. That way it's more presentable, correct? All right, huh? You got it? Okay, cool. A trick with the onions now, you want to make sure you cut off both ends so you don't have that hard part. But you see your onions, you know how there's ribs on here? I like to use that as my guidelines to get it thin slice. And so all you do is you leave your onion here and you just follow those lines and you just go in like this. You see how that's coming out?
Yeah.
Have you ever cut your onions like this?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah? Some of you maybe not.
Sometimes, but when if in a hurry, just chop chop.
And then you just turn it around. But you see how precise and that looks all the same, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool trick. I just learned that actually over at the cooking school that we actually attend. And you just do that to the other side. You get the idea, right?
Right.
You get this and it all looks exactly the same. You add that into your salad. We're almost there. Awesome. Okay, so now you want to get some apples and you're going to slice them. You're going to slice the apple in half, right? Slice it in half, then slice it down into quarters, and eventually you're going to slice them into evenly sliced apples like this. You see how that is? You just add that in there. You can also, it also calls for, what is this right here? Oh, currants, or you can use cranberry, but we just use this currants, and you just add all your currants in there. And your candied pecans. You can say ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. That's it. And then you grab your dressing. Here's some pre-made dressing like we've just made earlier. And you just mix that right inside. Go ahead and say ooh.
Ooh. Ooh.
And just to show you what it looks like, can you see that now? Ooh. Doesn't it look good?
Yeah.
It's actually really tasty. So sit back, enjoy the rest of the program, and we'll be getting some salad to you guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, DJ. Let's give him a round of applause. All right. Our next presentation this evening is from no other than Jacinta Cerulli, who will be presenting to us our broccoli with olives and a bunch of other goodies. So let's give her a round of applause.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the recipe that I'm doing is broccoli with roasted peppers and olives. Okay, it's broccoli with roasted peppers and olives. First thing, the ingredients that you have to have is peppers, broccoli, Kalamata olives, and garlic, olive oil, and salt. So the first thing you have to do, when you get your peppers, you cut them in half. You cut them in half, and what you want to do is, usually the recipe calls for 1 cup for it, but before you cut the peppers up, bell peppers up, you actually have to polish it or coat it with olive oil. Not the olive oil you set aside, but amount of olive oil you want to coat the bell pepper in the front and even the back, the outside and the inside. So you coat it with olive oil, and then you have to face it down on a pan or a sheet, cookie sheet or something. And then while you're doing that, you preheat the oven like 400 degrees Celsius. So the thing is with bell peppers are actually low in calories. They're actually low in calories. And they contain plenty of vitamin C, which power up your immune system. So the red bell pepper has the highest amount of vitamin C, so which is good for bell peppers, so you can eat a lot. It has an antioxidant. It's an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefit. It has anti-inflammatory benefits and good source of vitamin E. So it also contains vitamin B6. So there's a lot. Like I said, bell peppers are low in calories. That's actually every vegetables and fruit. Vegetables contain low in calories. So if your diet is actually, vegan diet and everything, you don't really have to count your calories. Share your vegetables and fruits, so you don't need to count them. So after you put the bell pepper on the cookie sheet, you put it in the oven for 10 minutes. So that way it'll be roasted. After 10 minutes, while you're waiting for your bell peppers, you're actually getting your broccolis. Your broccolis have to be cut forward, where no stems, barely any stems, but just the flower top of it. You cut it, and then you have to steam the broccoli. Steam it to the point where it's still kind of crunchy, but not as cooked, so that way you won't lose any of your nutrients or minerals in there as well. So with broccoli, the more you eat or the more you put broccoli on your plate, it actually, or on your diet, it actually helps slow down and even prevent osteoarthritis. So that's what broccoli does. So put as much broccoli on your plate, not, if you're a meat eater, add a little bit meat and then add more broccoli into it. But it'll be good to have more broccoli, so that way it'll prevent your osteoarthritis. So one study published in PLOS, for instance, found that just 4 servings of broccoli per week could protect men from prostate cancer. In this study, the researchers collected tissue samples over the course of the study and found that men who ate broccoli showed hundreds of beneficial changes in genes known to play a role in fighting cancers. So after you put the broccoli, if the broccoli is steamed, then you start your pan, olive oil, and then with garlic as well. And then you get, after the bell pepper is ready roasted, you cut it, dice it, and then you put all the bell pepper and even broccoli together in the frying pan or the wok, and while your olive oil and your garlic is steaming, so that way you can put all of your calamansi olives and broccoli and bell pepper together. And actually it'll come out to be more of like a stir fry. And if you present it as well, you actually can cut lemon wedges, and then you put lemon wedges on it as well, so it'll have a smell and it'll take the taste as well. So that's it. So it's really simple, this recipe, honestly.
So what, you didn't put any seasoning except for
Actually, it's salt. Sorry, I forgot. After that, you can put salt. You have to season it. And so, yeah.
Thank you. How many of you enjoy broccoli?
Yeah.
Alright, so I really like this dish because it has broccoli. I love the little hints of lemon that they add to it. Alright, so moving right along, it's one of my favorite recipes, and really BJ Bos's favorite recipe is America's Best Mac and Cheese. Alright, so enjoy this presentation, and we'll be having the samples out shortly. Let's give Boss a round of applause.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You're gonna have to excuse me. Hopefully I'm not losing my voice too much. I guess Houston doesn't like me too much. It's taking away my voice. However, I will speak with Houston regardless. Okay, for this recipe, it's very simple. How many of you like mac and cheese? Wonderful. So if you're following along on your recipe, you will see that it calls for 13 point, how many ounces of noodles? It's at the very top there for our mac and cheese. I believe it's 13.25 or 14 ounces, something along those lines, or 0.8965 pounds. I was doing the math earlier. Yeah. So for the sake of our presentation and for the sake of time, I've already gone ahead and boiled the noodles. Now when you boil the noodles, it'll give you the directions on the side. You can either do it well done, or you can do it al dente. How many of you know what al dente means? It is not a dent on your car. It is al dente, means it's not fully cooked, but it's cooked enough. Because what we're going to do afterward is we're going to bake it a little bit more. Now, So we have the noodles here, and by the way, this is whole wheat pasta. You can use any type of pasta. We recommend whole wheat because whole wheat is a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. For our cheese, we are going to use a fourth. So usually when you get the tofu, it says to use a fourth of it. Just in your mind, picture 4 slices. Take a fourth of that tofu, throw that bad boy in there, all right? We're going to be using 3/4 cup. For this one, it's calling for soy milk, but for some people, some reason they can't always do soy milk, but they can do soy products. Still confusing to me. So for the sake of those people, we're going to be using almond milk, which doesn't make any difference. So we're using 3/4 cup of almond milk. We're going to be using about a 1/2 cup of water. Don't you love these demonstrations? We'll be using about, what is the measurements there for the, I think it's 1/2 cup of canola oil. Yes. All right. You're going to be using 2 tablespoons of the aminos, or you can use a very light soy sauce. Now the reason you want to use the light is because there's a lot of herbs that's going into it and spices. So if you use a regular soy sauce, it's going to be really, really sour. Trust me, I know. I know because I tried. Because my family was like, I don't want to eat vegan food. And I was like, okay, I'll use the regular soy sauce. And they're like, yeah, we're ready to eat it. When as soon as they ate it, they said, vegan food sucks. I was like, that's because you told me to use the regular stuff. All right, so make sure you want to use the aminos or a very light soy sauce. We're also going to be using half a tablespoon of garlic powder. Garlic is good for you there. We're also going to be using, actually that was mustard. This is the garlic powder. We're just going to be using a little bit of salt, and basically what the salt is doing is it's bringing out the taste. Have you ever tasted food that had no salt in it whatsoever? All of our foods are naturally salted, but sometimes there's just nothing there. So what the salt is doing for us here is just to accentuate the other flavors. That's a big word, isn't it? Accentuate. Can we say accentuate?
Accentuate.
Accentuate. Wonderful. All right, and then we're going to put some paprika in there. What BJ and I like to use is the smoked paprika, because it makes it taste like it just came off of a barbecue grill. This is a regular paprika. It's not going to be as spicy as you might think. All right, and then we're going to put in nutritional yeast flakes. Now, everybody familiar with this? Nutritional yeast flakes, don't get it confused with the same type of yeast flakes used for beer. These are 2 different things. This actually, if you go plant-based, a lot of times we get low in B12 vitamins. Just 2 or 3 tablespoons of this gives you about the same amount of B12 you would find in like a piece of chicken or a steak. So we're about to put 3/4 cup. So you ready for some vitamin B? Are you ready for some vitamin B?
Yeah.
There we go. Gonna pour those in there. Also, we like to use that for cheese when we're eating spaghetti. So instead of mozzarella cheese, we use spaghetti. Or we use that. Okay. Hopefully this all works. I'm going to throw on the blender and we're going to put it together. Blender's also a very good idea if you're trying not to pay attention to anybody. If someone's yelling at you, just turn up as high as you can so that you can say, what? And they'll say, how do you turn it down? What? And they still won't get mad at you because you can. All right, so you should get a nice little sauce that's going to come out like this, and you're going to be tasting this very, very soon. All right. Now, when you're making this mac and cheese, what's cool about this is you can make it with this staying out for a little bit, or if you just finished draining your pasta and putting this on it and mixing it together, you can eat it right then and there. So right now, we're going to pour this in. Oh, hello. We are going to pour this in. We're going to pour this into the noodles there. Try not to lose much more of my voice. Now, can you smell that?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people will probably be put off by it
I
because
think I'm gonna bring that for potluck.
we're going to bring this for potluck. That's if it makes it to church. Okay? Then we're going to take that and mix it. Can I have one volunteer? Volunteer. Nancy, you want to come up with
Okay.
it? Let's give her a hand for the volunteer. Oh, come on, people. Let's give her a hand. Come on over here. Come on over here. And what she's going to do, she's just going to mix it. Go ahead and mix that for me.
Oh, that's easy.
Yo, it's very easy. Anyone can do this. And so what she's doing is she's mixing it. So if you have your noodles fresh out of the pot, and then after you make this, pour it right in, it can eat it right away. Or, what's recommended in the recipe there, if you want to get a little bit more of a crust, thank you, Nancy, we'll take it from there. Let's give her a round of applause for that wonderful job. Yes. All right. That's good.
Well, that's good.
Yes, it is, and it tastes good. I know. I ate half of it. Okay, so we're going to take some breadcrumbs, about 1/4 of a cup, and spread those bad boys right over there. Oh, man. I can see half of you guys over there trying to keep yourselves in your seats. Don't worry, the food is coming. So what the breadcrumbs does is once you put this in, after you put all these ingredients together, you want to pop this in the oven at 350 for 15 minutes. I like to leave it in there for 20, just because it has a nice crisp taste to it. Or you can just eat it like this. And that is our finished product. That is our mac and cheese with no cheese. Okay, so at this time, I guess we're going to take a short intermission. I'm going to take this to the back. Maybe we'll save this for potluck. What's also amazing about a lot of plant-based foods is you can leave this out for about up to 10 days and it won't spoil. Whereas if you leave cheese, macaroni and cheese out for 3 days, it's already spoiled. So this will last us until about next potluck for next week. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've been great. Thank you so much.
My taste buds are ready now.
Alright, are you guys ready to taste some food?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready to taste some food? Yeah! Alright, so here comes the food. We're gonna let you guys start eating and then we'll continue our presentation.
Re-roll na.
Guys, nalimutan ko yun. Yes, the long-awaited raw cheesecake. Adriana and myself will be presenting to you in just a few minutes. Do we have any cheesecake fans here? Okay. Alright, so you guys will be in for a treat. So first here we have our raw lemon cheesecake. Does everyone see it? Alright, completely raw, no dairy. And we have here our German chocolate cheesecake as well. Are you guys excited about tasting this as much as I am? Yes. Okay, so we'll let Adriana get started.
So I'm not gonna be using the microphone because I'm gonna be using my hands. So can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sure. So we're gonna actually take this back because we're gonna give you a sample of raw lemon cheesecake and the chocolate cheesecake. So first of all, some of the equipment that you're gonna need is gonna be a high-speed blender. That's key for you to make this type of foods. So it's gonna be the Vitamix or the Ninja, one of those high-speed blenders. Another thing that you are also gonna need is gonna be the food processor, and the blade is gonna be an S blade. That's what you're gonna be needing for that. And of course, measuring cups and measuring spoons too. And you're gonna also need, it's a lot better to use a spring fork pan, 9 inches, because what you do is you just hook over here, and when it's already ready, you just bring this up and the cheesecake comes like the way that you saw it. So that's the materials that you're gonna be needing, the equipment. And also we're gonna use almonds, the sliver almonds. It's gonna be for the crust. And one of the great benefits of almonds is that it's available all year round. Also, it's rich in vitamin E. and it's one of the superfoods. I know that a lot of people that are trying to either lose weight or have heart problems, when they are in Dr. Elselstein and Dr. Campbell's diet, he doesn't use any nuts at all. However, the Seventh-day Adventists, they have come up with a study that actually eating a handful of nuts a day is gonna lower your LDA, which is your bad cholesterol, and it's also gonna help you with prevent heart disease. So it's something good to know. And we're gonna use 2 cups of slivery almonds. And we're gonna start doing our crust. So that's our 1 cup. Also, almonds are rich in magnesium, potassium, and also helps with diabetes and prevent heart disease, like we talked about it. Now, we're gonna do a the recipe calls for 3 to 4 dates. And if you're not someone who likes too many sweets, then you can just put only 3, but I like my sweets, so I put dates. And dates are one of those things of nature that is really sweet. And it's a great substitute when you're are craving sweets.
It also is really good for intestinal problems if you're having stomach problems or even having problems going to the special place. It would be good to eat some dates as well.
Oh.
Really good source of fiber as well.
And then now I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And don't use those lemon juice that comes already pre-made. It's fresh. Try to use everything fresh because lemon juice or lemon is gonna be one of nature's great antibiotics, and it's a good antibiotic. So just use everything fresh. So we put 1 tablespoon of lemon, then 1/4 of a teaspoon of alcohol, vanilla extract, alcohol free. Yeah.
Not alcohol-free.
Alcohol-free. So we're gonna put
Alcohol-free vanilla. I want to make sure you look for the alcohol-free.
the alcohol-free vanilla extract, and then you're gonna use the food processor.
She blends it, she's trying to make it into a crusty-like consistency, because this will be the base for her cheesecake, her crust.
All right, so it should be looking something like this. Make sure we don't waste any of our almonds because they're very expensive. And all the almonds that we are using, everything is raw. Nothing is pre-cooked, it's all raw. So this is kind of what the crust you want it to look like. And then you have your spring pork can. Another thing is, like, if you don't have the sliver almonds, you can use regular almonds, just raw almonds. You can just substitute it for that. So we're just trying to use what the recipe is calling for. And you just gonna press this with your fingers. Make it into a nice crust. And you just gonna use your knuckles over here to spread it. You can see I'm working with my knuckles to spread this nice crust that we just made. Okay, so you can, yeah, this is a 9-inch spring fork pan. I have tried to use this recipe with a pan that it wasn't a spring form, that it comes out, and it doesn't really work out really well if you want to make it nice and presentable. Because remember, when you're making vegetarian or any type of food, you know, you look at the food and if it looks attractive, you're gonna be more, you know, likely to eat it, you know, but if it looks all not too good, people are gonna say, nothing. So yeah, this is one of the things that you want to make sure is nice and presentable. All right, so we have our crust over here. So this is what it looks like. And now we're gonna start doing our filling. And it's very easy, guys. When you try the cheesecake, people say, well, I don't really like the taste of almonds. I don't really like the taste of cashews, especially raw. No way. I want you to be honest with yourself and tell me if you really taste the cashews, because you're not going to be able to tell that there is any cashews in there. Cashews is really healthy for you. They come from Brazil. And you can, the nice thing about the cashews, you can find them all year around. So they're one of the most powerful nuts that are there in nature. Also, it's a great thing to have in your kitchen. If you want to make tacos or if you want to make nachos, you make a nice sauce with nutritional yeast, a little bit of sweetened almond milk too, with some salt to taste. And it comes as a very nice cheese sauce. So any substitute for cheese, cashews is gonna be, you know, the best thing to have in your kitchen. So have always some extra cashews. You might have some extra company and you wanna make some nice nachos, you know, to maybe watch a documentary or something like that. That would be a nice thing. And we're gonna use a cup and a half of unsweetened almond milk. Make sure that it's unsweetened. So we're gonna use a cup and a half. All right. Almond milk, like I say, once I start drinking regular milk, almond has been like one of my best, you know, friends. I really enjoy it. So the recipe calls for 1 cup of lemon. Again, it's fresh. Also, we're gonna put half cup of raw honey, and I get the raw one. And raw is usually like a paste. Yeah, it's raw honey. So we're gonna put half cup of raw honey.
Where y'all got those things?
I'm sorry.
Where you buy all of this?
So usually I shop, my 3 stores that are my favorites are Trader Joe's, Sprouts, and Whole Foods. The only thing about Whole Foods, and I know I've been taped, I always call it whole paycheck because it's so expensive that you spend your whole paycheck there. So I usually go when I really need something special in Whole Foods, but I try to do most of my shopping at Trader Joe's and Sprouts. Yeah. I think it has really good prices and yeah.
I don't see
Also remember, cashew nuts, they're really rich in copper and it's gonna be a good producer of energy. So, you know, these things like that, it's good to have it like when you make a special dinner or something. It's good to make something like this, but you don't want to eat this every day because even though cashews is natural and it's raw, but they're still pretty rich in fat. So you can have like 1 handful of nuts a day, but you want to maybe not eat this because, you know, even though it's raw, but it still has a lot of fat. So,
yeah.
It also prevents gallbladder, you know, stones to form. It also magnesium too, cashew nuts. And this is good enough. Now, what else is the recipe calling for? So the cashews, the sweetened almond, fresh lemon, raw honey. The coconut, we're gonna do it at the end once we already have mixed this. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I left it all in the table. So the salt and 1 teaspoon of lemon zest. So before I squish my lemon, I do lemon zest. And as you saw it, I also make extra because I like to decorate the cheesecake with this. So it's a nice decoration. Lemon zest, yeah. So you just grate the lemon on that side, yeah. And we're gonna use 1 teaspoon. There we go. And now, all right. Now I'm gonna blend this, and once it's blended, the recipe doesn't call for soy lecithin, but the chocolate cheesecake calls for lecithin. What does the soy lecithin do? It actually holds the cheesecake together a lot longer. So the recipe doesn't call, but as I start doing the raw chocolate cheesecake, and I discover, well, if it works for that, it's gonna work. So I use it for this one too. So I usually put 3 tablespoons of this after I blend this. So let's start. We usually, buy the organic one, and 3 tablespoons of soy lecithin. And I know the brand is gonna talk to you a little bit more soy lecithin. You can tell them now. There you go. 3 tablespoons.
Now, where can you find soy lecithin? You can find it at your local Whole Foods. We found this one at Sprouts. We found in lesser quantities and actually cheaper prices. So a good place to find soy lecithin is at your Sprouts or any local Sprouts is kind of really good. This one is very good.
process. It also is a great moisturizer. That's what I use as a lotion, as a moisturizer. In my skin, that's what I use. That's my moisturizer. And it's wonderful. It's really, really good. For your hair, for your skin, it's really good.
We use it for the hair.
Oh, really?
Yes.
For your hair? Okay, I'm gonna start using it in my hair. So, when I use it, yeah, it's really good moisturizer for your skin. Yeah, it's really good. So now that we have this done, so I'm gonna just put it on top over here. So did they start passing out the cheesecakes already? There we go. Okay. So here we have our lemon cheesecake. So I usually like to put it in the freezer for 2 hours or 3 hours, and it would be ready in 2-3 hours. So there you go. I don't know if you can see it from there, but just put the filling on top, and there you have your lemon cheesecake. Thank you, everyone.
So when it's ready, you just remove the side.
You just remove the side. Yes, that's correct. When it's ready, you just remove over here, and you kind of want to top it on the table. That you can just the seal that is in it, you top it and you pull this out, and then the bottom will stay in the crust. And with a spatula, you just remove the bottom. Another question? Yes. Substitute it. Yes. Yes.
All right, they're serving the cheesecakes at this time. Didn't Adriana do a great job? Let's give her a round of applause. Cocoa, or you can use carob. In this case, I use carob. Does anyone know what carob is? It's basically, I think it's either a root, a bark, or something like this. But it's a good substitute for chocolate, and it's pretty good. So you can, I don't think in that one we have carob, but I think we use more cocoa or something of that sort. Okay, but you can either use cocoa or carob. And so here we have the carob powder. And it's the exact same process after I've made my crust. I'll put the rest of the ingredients, which includes the cashew, the almond milk, agave, the vanilla salt, soy lecithin, and the coconut oil. And we'll do the exact same process. We're going to blend all of those ingredients nicely together, make sure it comes to a nice creamy consistency, and we want to pour that into our spring form on top of our crust. Following the exact same process, okay? So is that something simple, something you guys think you guys can do?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So there you have it. This is completely raw, no dairy products, absolutely healthy for you. But we want to be temperate in all things, right? So moderation of things that are good for us and avoidance, total avoidance of things that are bad. So at this time, we're going to ask all of the chefs to come back out, and we'll answer any questions that you may have. So will the chefs all come out? All right, while we're waiting, do you guys have any questions in regards to any of the recipes that we've done so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, tastes good.
Delicioso.
Delicioso.
More,
No
more
questions?
delicioso.
Can we substitute canola oil with olive oil?
It depends on the recipe. Like if you were doing a more sweet olive oil, it has such a distinct taste on its own flavor that when you replace it for certain recipes, it kind of changes the taste. So I would look at what the recipe recommends. So if she'd ask
BJ, I got a question. Is it only the violet onion or any kind of onion?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You use the violet or red or onion?
Yeah, red or purple onions, we use that for the salad, yeah.
Any color, any onions or just?
Well,
The recipe calls for this color, for the purple onion.
the recipe calls for it, but it depends. Whatever onions you like, whatever you like for its taste. Now you gotta remember, because this has more of sweet content.
Yeah.
Like they have the candied pecans and the apples. So if you get an onion that's really bitter, it might actually throw off the taste. So this onion is actually a little more sweeter, so it goes along with this, yeah? And if you notice in the dressing, there's brown sugar in it, so you don't want to kind of have that sugar in it and all of a sudden overwhelming onion bitterness, yeah?
Okay.
Good question though.
Yeah, because it was good. I take two. My wife was already there eating, so they gave her a plate, so I take the...
Awesome.
Yeah.
We have a donation bowl you can donate to.
It's right here. It's right here, donation.
All right, yes.
About the coconut oil, so you're saying that you could use that, well, currently you can use it in many different things, but like if you cook with it, it doesn't turn into a saturated
I believe
fat?
Actually, coconut oil is a saturated fat,
Okay,
but
that's
it's one of those things that is healthy when you, any oil that you cook it is not gonna be good. This one is raw, so, yeah, but I know coconut oil is a saturated fat.
So it is, okay, so it's saturated.
It's saturated fat.
You shouldn't eat too much of the coconut oil?
Yeah, you don't wanna eat too much, of course, yeah, you don't wanna eat too much. That's what I say, this recipe is good to eat it like once in a while, you know, when you have people over and maybe you're craving cheesecake and, you know.
But it's better to, if you're gonna cook with an oil, you should cook with coconut oil, is that right? Instead of, or does it matter, it doesn't matter?
You know, I know that like any oil, I think olive oil is one of the best. Olive oil is full of rich of antioxidants, but once you cook it, it turns into, yeah. Grapeseed oil too, Basa is saying that it's a really good oil.
I'm sorry, we can't hear the question.
What is the difference between the canola oil and the vegetable oil?
One of the things that I have seen as I've, in the journey of doing this whole health, changes, I know that there is a great controversy about the oils that are out there, because a lot of the oils, they're not being really honest about what oils they're serving us to the population. So one of the things I have here, and don't quote me, but they say California olive oil is one of the best because it's actually it's pure. When they say extra virgin olive oil, and it's cold pressed, that is one of the best oils. The other oils, I have here many stories that is mixed with other chemicals that are not really good for us. So canola and the other oil, I don't really know the difference between, but I just know that a lot of the oils out there are not really good.
Canola oil is actually the best oil to use than vegetable oil. Because canola oil has more potassium than canola oil. But if you choose both, either one, it's canola oil.
Is it gonna taste the same?
Yeah.
Actually, no.
No?
But it's
Yes.
better.
Yeah.
But it's better than vegetable oil. Yes.
Yeah. In relation to that, when I attended the health seminar in Frisco, canola is one of the best. Besides olive oil. According to the Dr. Hall, you know Dr. Hall, right?
For cookies.
Yeah, he said that whatever you read in Facebook about canola oil, don't believe that. It's just a scam.
Canola oil is actually good for cooking. Olive oil is actually good for baking.
Salad.
For salad, bacon. But for cooking, canola oil is best.
Grapeseed oil for
Grapeseed oil and canola oil is best.
Grapeseed is good because you can, just like coconut, you can cook it at high temperatures. And with grapeseed, it doesn't take away from the flavor. So you can taste when there's olive oil in there. The only thing is grapeseed oil is very expensive.
Yes.
So you're looking at a bottle like this being about $13. But it's I mean, I use it.
So
I save up a month.
haven't used the grapeseed, I like it. So how many calories in a slice of that lemon cake? Lemon.
I know, I don't know if I wrote it in there, but I'm pretty sure it's like 250 calories and just one small slice of the,
One small slice of one.
of the cheesecake,
Of the cheesecake.
lemon, the chocolate cheesecake or the lemon cheesecake.
It's the same thing as the grapeseed oil and the sunflower oil.
Is it the same thing?
No, I mean, what's the difference between
Sunflower oil.
You never cooked with sunflower?
never use sunflower.
So
Oh,
I've never
sunflower.
cooked. I'm sorry?
Safflower.
Safflower?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never cooked with safflower oil, so I wouldn't really know. I just know rapeseed oil, it cooks at higher temperatures before it starts to burn out really bad. Plus, it doesn't take away from the flavor of the food. So it's almost like you're putting nothing onto it, but you're still able to cook it. Only thing is with rapeseed oil, it's just really expensive.
I mean, one of the things that I just, I know it's hard because oil, we use it a lot, and especially our cultures, we use a lot of fried plantains, fried this, fried that. But I will say, as you start this journey of the eating healthier, just take baby steps, and eventually you're gonna get to the point where you're not eating a lot of fried things. I mean, you will get to the point where you're eating maybe once, a couple times a year that you're eating something fried. But at first it's hard, our palates are still used to what we always like and what we used to. So eventually just get to the point where hopefully you get to the point where you don't want to cook hardly any oil. Yeah.
And I just want to add to that also, like you saw Adriana when she made her scrambled tofu yesterday, she did it with just water. So there's some things also that you can now start substituting instead of using a lot of oil, but actually sauteing it with water instead. So,
like one of the things, how we love gluten, and most people, the gluten, they fry it and it just becomes like a lot of fried things with gluten with oil. You just put it in a burner like that, and you just put crumb breads or even without crumb breads, and you don't need actually to put any oil. Also, you can just do with tomatoes or onions, and still you don't have to use any oil. Water again. So just a couple tablespoons of water.
all right, we'll take one more question and then we have to close.
There's a big difference between an actual raw vegan and a vegetarian. Are any one of you raw vegan? And if so, how do you actually add some natural protein into your diet so that you don't have a deficit?
I am vegan in the sense I don't eat any animal products. Sometimes I will sneak with a dessert that it has maybe some eggs on it or milk. But I don't eat any animal products, and I've been doing that for the last maybe a year and a half or 2 years. And anything that you eat, walnuts, nuts, everything always gonna have a small amount of protein. A lot of your grains, your legumes, they're rich in protein, and especially when 1 cup of lentils is gonna give you the raw protein that you need for the day. When you combine beans and brown rice, that's a complete protein. Quinoa is one of the greatest things also for a complete protein. Kamut and millet, those grains are also gonna give you a good protein, and a lot of your leafy vegetables too.
Do you cook, being a raw vegan, do you actually cook the food? Because I think that they say they don't want to change the composition of the food actually, so they eat it at its natural form.
There actually is a degree, you cook under 180 degrees, 118 degrees, so that's the under 18 going down, it's still gonna consider raw.
Yeah.
In addition to that, being completely raw, I've read some studies are not completely recommended because our mouths were actually created to eat cooked food, and sometimes not all raw. And some foods, such as tomatoes, actually have higher nutritional value if they're cooked. So and spinach. So it's good to have that balance. It's good to have raw, but you want to make sure you eat some cooked food as well. So just
Thank you.
All right. In regards to protein too, I was going to ask, do you guys know where does the elephant or the gorilla get their protein?
Grass.
From the grass, right? There's no meat, right? So there you go, you have it. So you don't always need to eat animal products to get your protein. Like Adriano said, fruits and vegetables all have a certain amount of protein. Alright?
Like the red is saying, like the cow. How does the cow get the protein? From the grass. I mean, so if we eat animal produce, we eat it protein secondhand. And always remember, if you have high cholesterol, any animal product is going to give you cholesterol because our body produces its own cholesterol. And when we add animal produce, we add more cholesterol to our bodies that doesn't need. But if you don't eat non-animal produce, your cholesterol is the numbers are gonna decrease tremendously. So.
All right, so thank you all very much.